Okay, so as we were talking about earlier, we have all the taxonomies that are listed in JSON files and used in MISP, but they can also be used in other tools. Right now, the way they look like, it's going to be like a JSON file, similar to that, which is easier than dealing with XML documents, but it's still like editing a text file, which can sometimes be kind of an hassle. So, and to just look into it and find out which taxonomies are already here and what kind of content do you have and so on, it's not necessarily super easy. Like, you may want to have a way to just go through it without having to look at Python at some text file and search in GitHub and so on. So, what I developed to just have an easy interface to dig into all those taxonomies is a small website that runs like it's just a Flask website. You can just run it locally on your machine. It imports all the existing taxonomies and displays them in an interface. So you can basically just click on taxonomy and see the content of it. And if you go for some bigger ones, like you can just see all those indications right away without having to dig into a text file, which is sure. So anyway, so like that, it's going to look like that. And you see at the end of the line here, machine tags, which is the same thing as what Andras was showing earlier. So you have all those information directly, like in your web browser, and you can go through it. Like you can search. You have a really easy search interface here. So if I look for example, for TLP, I'm going to get the TLP taxonomy. If I look for Euro, I'm going to just find like Europol taxonomies and so on. So it's easy to just find out some indications on the taxonomies you have in your interface. And you have some more information like the amount of entries you have in each taxonomy and so on. And then if you click on it, you see all those informations. You see the version of the taxonomy. And yeah, so you can basically just go through that fairly easily. And the other interesting functionality is that you can do search. So if, for example, I want to search for ransomware, I have a ransomware and I want to know which taxonomies have it's for ransomware. So I'm just going to do it like that. And I find out, okay, in the EC taxonomy, I have a description, I have a ransomware example. ENISA, I have the same. Malware classification, I have the same. Various, I have the same. So it's easy, when you have one of those machine tags, one of those tags somewhere in your MISP instance, you will be able really easily, like in a few weeks, to just find out all the other similar tags you may want to add in the event or not. Because now we have a lot of tags, a lot of different taxonomies, so it will be really easy really useful to just find a way to map taxonomies with each other. But to do this web interface, I had to develop a Python module that's going to load all your JSON documents into a Python dictionary. And I'm going to show you how that works, because it's really cool if you actually want to edit a taxonomy live, or if you want to create your own. So you just you load your taxonomy, so you import the class here, and then so you import taxonomies. Those ones are going to be downloaded directly from the internet and loaded locally. You can also load a manifest file that is in your computer, but like I'm going to just do it the default way from the internet. Then when it's done, you can get a taxonomy. For example, I'm going to get the CIRCL taxonomy. So if you write in Python, you will recognize that. It's just like taxonomies.get as in a dictionary. And then if I do print CIRCL, I get all the taxonomies, the machine tags of all the taxonomies, of all the attributes in the taxonomy. If I want to, for example, if I do CIRCL.json, I'm going to get a dump of all the attributes of the taxonomy. And what is really interesting when I do that is that I can export, so I can create my taxonomy directly in my command line and dump it as a JSON file and import it in MISP directly. So it's really straightforward to create your own stuff and it's going to be validated automatically. Like you will have the JSON, the taxonomy that is dumped on your machine is something that is going to work immediately anyway. So you don't have to mess around to find out what is working and how to create this taxonomy. You can just do it like that. I will have really soon an interface, like an option in the web interface to do that. It's not working right now, so don't even try. It's going to fail. But it's going to look like that at some point. You can just create your own taxonomy, save it, and then upload it in the MISP in the GitHub project, or just keep it internally. But you will be able to create your own without having to edit any text file. And something that is also really cool, for example, if you have an existing taxonomy and you want to change something in it. So let's say if I want to do in the description, CIRCL.description, as it's a Python class, it's really straightforward. If I change it, description equals foo, and then I do the JSON, and I get description foo here. And then if I dump it as an actual JSON object, I get it as a text, as Python text, as just a text object that you can import in MISP directly. So all that stuff is implemented and just working. And this way you make sure that your taxonomies are working really cleanly. And if you want to create your own taxonomy and make sure that everything is working properly, you should create so you create it here, and then you create the JSON file, you put it in the directory, and if you run the tests of the PyTaxonomies module, it's going to try to load the JSON file and dump it again. Which means that and it compares if it's the same thing on both ends. So this way you are really clear, you are sure that it's really something that's going to work out of the box and without any hassle. So and all that stuff is like it's there. You can just play with it right away. So that's the idea for the PyTaxonomies. Right now it's available on GitHub here. As you can see, code coverage is fairly good. I had some fun there. So yeah, and then if you just you look at the code here, it's going to just load all the events, all the attributes of all the JSON object, and load it in a Python dictionary. So you have all the options of the Python dictionary. So you can do values, keys. So if I do it like that, for example, if I take taxonomies that oops. I will get all the keys, so all the name of all the taxonomies. And if I do the same for values, I get all the taxonomies. So if I do that like that, I will get so the 0 is TLP at this point. So it's just like you get the taxonomy, and you can just play with it right away without having to deal with any JSON files. That's quite straightforward. And I had the same idea with MISP events. Because when you have a MISP event, you also get a JSON file, and you may want to do the similar thing. You want to be able to open your JSON file, change something, and push it back. And you want to make sure that everything you push back is a valid MISP event. So using the description of Alex, so the ETF document of Alex, and a JSON schema, I do the same thing. So I can load a MISP event and dump it again and change stuff in between. So basically, it's going to work like that. You import from PyMISP MISP event. It's in the next branch. It's not merged in the master branch right now, but it will be merged like at the end of this week, or maybe next week. So you can see you load you open your MISP event, then you load an existing JSON dump from one of your MISP events, and you can just edit. Anything. Look at the content with a really Pythonic way. Like you just access your MISP event as an actual JSON, an actual Python object, which is I find really cool. And you also make sure that when you dump it, so again, if you do it like that, it's going to dump you a JSON, like an actual valid MISP event you can import again in MISP. So that's a really good way. That's something we really wanted to implement. So full is going to just dump everything again. JSON, the classic JSON dump is going to be something that you can upload on one of your instance. Because there's some particular fields you don't want to re-upload again. If you do some edits in some fields, you don't want to re-upload everything. But yeah, that's the idea. So you can do all that by just using completely normal Python code without touching any kind of JSON files. And again, it's implemented in a really similar way. I load all the attributes present in the JSON document. Check, and I import it in a Python object. For example, when I have a date, I will import it as date time. So this way you can actually compare events. You can compare the date of different events using comparing times in Python, which is also really cool. But when I dump it again, I dump it as a text as it's expected in the standard. So that's fairly straightforward. And I also load everything as integers when I can, and dump it again back as a format expected by MISP. So all that stuff, it's like, it looks really big, but it's really just a way to import a full JSON object in a Python class, and do whatever you like with it afterward. And to make sure that when I dump that the dump is an actual valid JSON object, I use a schema provided in the MISP repository and compare it when I dump. And you will get a warning if it's not a valid MISP object. This way you can also use MISP object in other tools without any problem. Like, you can just get a MISP object, get all the fields you want using pure Python code without having to dig with JSON, and do whatever you like. Yeah, so that's something that I really wanted to do, and it's like it will be implemented. It will be merged upstream, like merged in the master branch soon. So yeah, like that's the next steps in PyMISP. I explained most of what I wanted to show. I mean, it's just like, if you have any more questions or anything you would be interested in having in to manage taxonomies in another tool, or if you are interested in, like, some specific stuff you would like to have in PyMISP, that I'm also interested in, discussing about that. Yeah, my approach is really, I want to do as least amount of work as I can when I actually play with the MISP event. So I have also now we now have a lot of default values. For example, when you have an IP, it's going to be automatically, so when the type is an IP, what's the name again? The category will be automatically set to a network attribute. It will be the two IDs will also be set. Basically, you have like a bunch of automatic fields. Like, if you want to, you just have a function called add attribute, and everything is set. No, not here. Everything is set by default without any. Oops, not here. Without having to think about it, because it's just like, when you have too many fields, it's just a pain to deal with. So I just like add attribute. The only thing you need to have when you create a new attribute in a MISP event is the type on the attribute itself. Everything else will be set automatically. So it makes your life way easier when you want to do that. So yeah, that's the main idea. Just making your life easier when you want to play with MISP stuff or stuff around MISP. Yeah.